We'll be back, and thank you very much for staying tuned. You're watching Smart 24 TV, and we drive your business. Urban policies, urban employment policies for sustainable economy and employment. And of course, today, our major issue here is labor externalization. Our brothers and sisters out there in the Middle East, in Canada, we're not only talking about, by the way, the Middle East, when you talk about labor externalization. Anyone working outside Uganda can run to Wera, you can run to Notu. Any of these organizations is relevant to you, and you should be actually seeking out help from them. Now in Uganda, we've had several workers actually succeed in going abroad, but many of them have complained, and actually some of them have actually said they have had of cases of organ transplant, illegal organ transplant. And this has also been one of the headlines when it comes to some cases of violence in amongst the workers who are in the Middle East. Now, this hasn't been proved entirely and totally that these cases are from, for example, approved agencies or people that have gone through the procedure. And many of the people that have fallen victims have either had probably their working visas expiring or have overstayed in those particular countries. And it's in this moment that I would like to put a question to Mr. Mukundane here. These cases we hear of organ transplant, which is the common idea now of people going abroad and having their organs fished out, though even now we have legalized it here to kind of carry it out in a legal and formal manner. Do you think these cases are still coming in because of people going illegally, or we still have actually people going through the process and they get there and they are illegally taken out of their organs?
Thank you so much. Since externalization was legalized, and maybe specifically after the signing of the bilateral labor agreement with Saudi Arabia, for example, 2017, we have externalized over 350,000 Ugandans. Some of those have come back, some have gone back. And as we speak now, we have over 165,000 Ugandans in Saudi Arabia alone. In all these numbers, we have not seen or registered any confirmed case of organ harvest. What we know is, of course, what was in the news or is still in the news, which is now under court of a lady called Nachintu, and of course, different mechanisms to establish what factually happened are also being put in place by the two governments. Now, that being said, the issue of organ harvest has been more or less given so much attention through social media. When you look at the number of Ugandans who travel irregularly, who we would all believe would be the best candidates to have their organs extracted, because there's no one responsible anyway. Still, it doesn't add up, because the bodies, unfortunately, for those who have died, who have come back, maybe to just inform you, when someone passes on abroad, the repatriation process includes what we call post-mortem sanctioned by the government. Of course, once one dies, you become a property of the state, and on return, the remains are escorted by the aviation police to the government hospital, which is Mulago Hospital, and the post-mortem is done. Of the reports we have received, including those that have traveled irregularly and have passed on abroad, we have not seen anywhere where someone's body has been found to be lacking organs. So it is something I would say that has been hyped by social media. It's a perception, and because we haven't really seen, we normally talk facts. We haven't seen records, and I normally talk to having up-country engagement. So, and normally engage the local leaders when such an issue comes up, and normally ask a simple question, because they normally attend these burials anyway. Has there been anywhere they have attended and the post-mortem reads organs missing? The answer has always been no. But it's something that really is in the minds of the people, but it's not something that we have, as a sector, experienced or factually seen. Yes.
Mr. Weri, I'll come back to you now on the issue of professionalism. We were sharing with Mr. Mkundani before the show, and we were talking about the fact that how can a degree holder, for example, with maybe a degree in teaching or a degree in finance, actually go to Middle East, yes, earning 1 million, fine, but as a housemaid or as a security guard, yes, we have to be humble, and of course the economy has taught us to humble ourselves, whether you have a degree or not. But as Notru, don't you think we are doing way too much and actually exporting our labor force that could actually be much more helpful here for us in Uganda professionally?
Yeah, I think we have a problem that the jobs here are fewer. Now, there must be a deliberate policy by government to ensure that we have jobs. And our system of education also has a lot of gaps. Because when you look at, you are talking about people now clamor for degrees, but we need to have a system of education where we have hands-on, practical solution to job creation must be deliberate by government. And you can talk about the factory, having more factories, having more systems and deliberate policies like now the government has started the issue of science and so on, though the way they are doing it is a bit not proper, but we need to go to the basics.
Not proper in terms of imbalance? Are they leaving out one segment?
No, the issue is, you know, when you are starting this, you must start from the grassroots.
Yes.
And it comes up and you build it at a certain level. But you know, when you start it in the middle, in most cases, you may disorganize. But it's okay because some has worked, some at a certain extent is working, but the issue is there are no jobs here. The jobs which are here are fewer. You even find that the issue of training people for white-collar jobs, our system, we inherited a system of education from British. Now, when you go to China, there's a way they model, they just look at a child playing with a toy. Or is it playing with a toy car? Then they took you through that process until you reach a certain level. But here, most of our education system is based on theory. We speak good English, but we don't have practical skills in working out things that can help in the
Problem solving.
So the issue of job market needs practical solution. And I've seen the government is now trying to do this and that, but we need to do more, especially in reviewing our system of education, so that you start from somewhere, you know that you are building gradually until you reach a certain point where, fine. And there's also another, you know now in Uganda, you have people like us who went through very difficult time of education, but still you are taught so many things, but you have again another group of people. Now, our education, people have gone much more to the system of education. What are we bringing out? This is where the problem is. So we need to modify and work out a system, create more jobs for our people here. And once more jobs are here, what are people going? People can go out still to get more jobs. Even those who are living here must have skills. A country like Philippines, they are more paid than our people.
In the same countries?
Yes. Because they are more organized. You leave Filipino when your government is aware you are going to work.
Yes.
There are certain amount of money you need off. And if you go out, you are organized, they monitor you. If you leave a contract without then you must come back and explain. Now, people are skilled in a way that you can compete in the international job markets.
Yes.
And that's what we are lacking. So we need also to be competitive. You will compete with other countries like Philippines, like Indians. Today, I was reading jokes on social media. They were saying the first scientist is an Indian. The president, the prime minister of Britain is an Indian. So almost everywhere.
The CEO of Google is an Indian. Yes.
So that kind of skill we need to invent. Now, what are we trying to do? Other countries like China, is when you finish senior 6, you first go in for kind of military setting. They first train you. They don't care. You first volunteer for the government for some time. But from there, they identify jobs. Like now you see them coming here. They even want every job for themselves. So we need also to reach that level where you are going out, but you go out as a professional, you go out as a skilled person. Even here, when you are here, Uganda, we have the youngest generation. And that manpower is just wasted. Now, wasted, we don't have anything. People are running to go out because there are no jobs here. The jobs which are here, very few. So we need to do more than we, the leaders. I'm not talking about the people who do a lot of politics, but they are not practical at all in pushing the agenda to create more jobs. And the population we have is a time bomb. We need to think, we need to be creative, we need to build this country in a way that, in a system that will bring in more jobs. We are now talking about our fuel. How many people are trained to get into that? But instead we are doing a lot of politics. We need to do more in making our young people work, and then progressively we'll get out of this problem we are in now.
Mr. Mpundani, when you talk about professionalism, in a sense that we have so many people going abroad to work, isn't it a misery to see our young people who are well trained? Of course, as Mr. Oweria said, some of them lack the skills, right? And they need maybe more skilling. But still, we're looking at professionals like engineers, teachers, doctors. We've produced people recently. I don't know if you're watching news yesterday. We had a satellite that was launched.
It was launched today.
It was launched today, actually. And these are Ugandans. Yes, they had some training abroad and so on, but they're Ugandans. And this is very exciting. And we have so many other brilliant minds around. Do we have opportunities for some of these young professionals abroad, not just in the Middle East, but in Canada, in the US? Do we have some of these opportunities coming to your table?
True. We, as I said, the license that the government of Uganda gives our people, our members, is to source and place Ugandans abroad for employment all over the world. It is peer. And that has been done. However, what we have always found as a challenge is in terms of the numbers and also the cost involved. Because Uganda has only one operational bilateral labor agreement, where the other point I brought up of employer pays principle applies. Most of these other jobs, by the way, people pay for their recruitment process. Only few companies provide what we call recruitment costs for the workers. So you find, because we have extended people to Poland, for example, at different levels, not unskilled, not cleaners and all that, but the cost involved. For example, if your employer has not paid for you for example, go and work in Canada, you find the money you need to process your travel alone is kind of discouraging, because you'll be required to pay about maybe 15 or so much to be able to go and work. And we find that, of course, usually it's not a good thing. If someone really wants to go and work, and then you charge the person, that interaction is...
You start working on the negative.
Yeah, and now for the case of where we have the bilateral Saudi Arabia, we have externalized professionals there. We have externalized professional chefs who have gone to these international restaurants, hotels, and of course they always paid a lot of money. By the way, they earn about 5, 6, 7, 8 million, and normally the recruitment process is paid. It's paid for them. We've also taken engineers. Recently, they were taking people to Qatar in that professional level, and not only Qatar but also to the other countries. But what has always been the challenge is that the numbers are low, but also the recruitment cost is high, and that normally leaves, because you see even these unskilled or semi-skilled jobs that we find maybe of plumbers, with not so much of education, they incur the other costs that I talked about. Now, you've had people asking for about 5 or so million to be able to externalize someone. And when this money goes so much up there, so many people are discouraged. Even when the jobs have been formed, you'll find that you'll have very few people willing to travel and go and work. We've had professional electricians taken that must actually have degrees, and that has always been, because the limitation has been numbers and also recruitment process. But otherwise, our people are licensed to source and place Ugandans abroad for employment wherever it is available, as long as it is legal and legitimate and also cleared. Of course, having been verified by the government that actually that job is available, and then we take them. We take all categories of workers.
Oh, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still looking at the employment policies here in Uganda. We're going to the last break, and we're coming back with our last session. Now, we've heard from gentlemen here, Mr. Oweri and Mr. Mukundane, and they come from very pertinent organizations. When you are employed and you're out there and you don't know about these organizations, it's actually a minus for you. And so when we come back,